Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Lokamadi Prachayine Nirvishesha Sutramadi Vajrasadhine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shriya Prabhupada Shiva Sakhiyo Namaste Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. I think there's going to be some people with us this evening that weren't with us the other evening. So in case you're in that category, I'll do a little summary of what we've done so far. In a few evenings, we've discussed the principle of humility leads to taking shelter of Krishna. If you have association of devotees, in other words, sadhu sangha, association of sadhus, association of devotees, is an essential element in beginning and continuing further the process of bhakti. When you receive bhakti from someone who's carrying bhakti in their heart, with humility, you can go further and further and further up to the final stage of love for Krishna, Krishna Prema. So we discussed the topic in two classes, giving different examples of the impetus. Yesterday evening was the impetus for surrender. First was the principle of humility precipitates and enhances bhakti up to the stage of pure bhakti. Then impetus from different sources or different categories of impetus for surrender, and now the events of surrender. 6. Six limbs of surrender. I don't know if it shows the topic. It was the same. Yesterday evening, during the evening class, I said, I'm going to decide about what the topic is going to be based upon how the discussion goes this evening. I'll go to my room. In the previous classes, and largely what I do and like to do is add visual images. I'll get a little, once upon a time, I was in a devotee story. All of us once upon a time would be devotees. Maybe sellers or still new devotees. But once upon a time I was a new devotee, and I went straight from college. I completed my undergraduate study. I was accepted to medical school, but I took a little detour. I went to a Hare Krishna temple and changed for so many years now, 53, 54 years. It's a long detour. And the place that I went was the Boston Temple. The reason I went to the Boston Temple was when I was in undergraduate school, I went to visit Boston to see about graduate schools in Boston. Because there are lots of really good universities in Boston. And I was going to school in New York State, so not far away. So when I went to visit Boston when it was in the summer, the experience was exhilarating. And I didn't know exactly why, but it was like a super experience. And I found out later why. The why had to do with Krishna's arrangement. There were particular events that time that I came. I came on Nishriga Chaturdasi, so that wasn't summer. That was another time of the year, but that was when I visited. And it was a festival, and part of the festival was they had a drama, and the drama was Lord Nrsimhadev appeared from behind a pillar. And I didn't know the story, but the actor who played the part of Lord Nrsimhadev, his name was Muralidhar. This is a story. And Muralidhar was really tall and quiet and internally very strong, one of those kind of people. A strong kind of really tall. And when we came in, we didn't know it, but he was already there hiding behind a curtain. That was the pillar. And, Hiranyakshipu, are you behind this pillar? He took his sword and slashed at the curtain that was hanging, and from behind the curtain came Murlidhar. The sound vibration and the sound effects and roaring and moving his arms. It was like people in the room. What's going on? It was really. So I found out later that he wasn't just part of the temple, he was part of what was at that time ISKCON Press. Because BBT happened later when Prabhupada wanted to protect the intellectual property in case there was some difficulty with the real estate property. He separated to preserve and protect it. It became the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Before it was the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, it was just ISKCON Press. In ISKCON Press, everything was ISKCON. Everything. And so in this temple, in the Boston temple, there was ISKCON Press. They were part of the temple. And part of ISKCON Press, there were the transcribers, persons that took the audio cassettes, little audio cassettes, and transcribed them and gave that work to the editors. The editors took the work from the transcribers and the layout team laid it out in a book form, and it then often went to the printing press. It was like a sequence of events. And one of the group of people that also got a chance to hear directly Prabhupada speaking, at that time they were working on Krishna book. Prabhupada was dictating. In addition to the Bhaktivedanta purport with Srimad Bhagavatam, he was working on Krishna book, and then Nectar Devotion. He was giving us volumes and volumes and volumes to carry us forward in our Krishna consciousness. This was the summer of 1970. Give you some perspective of time. And we were told, don't bother the artists. They need to really focus on what they're doing. And so we weren't supposed, they had a little place. And in that time, it was a production line. Later, it became different artists produced different art pieces. But at this time, it was a production line. They all sat around, heard the micro cassette, and then one devotee, Bharadraj Prabhu, he did the sketch that they all agreed on what the painting would look like. And then Jadharani filled in painting, the sketch, and made it a painting. And Murlidhar, really tall, big eyebrows, very intense, quiet, powerful guy. He did all the jewels and the decorations and the flowers and all the refined work. So don't tell anybody, but I broke the rule. No, I did it in such a way that it didn't disturb them. It was enhancing their service. They're sitting there at the easel, painting and describing the pastime that they had just heard that they're painting. So as they're painting the paintings, they're narrating the story, and it made the story so much more powerful. The words, what it was, the painting speaks 1,000 words, something like that. That's how I learned. That's how, it was spoon fed, the pablum and the little baby hearing stories of Krishna, seeing the paintings of Krishna. So it's had a very lasting effect. So a lot of what I do has images together with the narration. And we comment yesterday, people like it. It just helps. It helps you to assimilate, even if it's pablum or whatever it is, you can assimilate it better if it has a nice picture. This evening is not so many pictures, maybe I'll embellish it at a later point in time. But the 6 limbs of surrender, first of all, the term surrender, because that's what we've been speaking about for 3 evenings. This is now the third. It comes from Bhagavad Gita. And as you all know from Bhagavad Gita, the final instruction, or the essence, we can say, the essence of Bhagavad Gita is to surrender to Krishna. So here's the verse on the screen. Let's all say it together. Sarva-dharma parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham mahasarvabhebhyo mokshayasami asmara. And Prabhupada's translation. Abandon all variety of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. That's the conclusion, and you can say the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. And no surprise at all, Krishna said the same thing in Uddhava Gita. What's Uddhava Gita? Some of you will know, some of you may not know. As Arjuna was Krishna's dear friend and devotee and cousin, Krishna had another who was a dear friend and devotee and cousin. And his name was Uddhava. And Uddhava spent more time with Krishna than anybody, more time with Krishna than Arjuna, because he was his constant companion. From the time Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura, until the very end of his pastimes in Dwarka, in Pravas, he was constant companion. He knew Krishna like nobody else knew Krishna, in intimate association with Krishna. So when it was time for Krishna to leave, Krishna didn't say, I'm going to leave, but he knew, because he knew Krishna. We saw some images, I didn't include it this evening. He fell at Krishna's feet in Dwarka. In a private situation, Krishna seated on a nice throne. Uddhava's at his feet, literally clasping his feet. We heard some of the verses the last couple of days, Uddhava speaking to Krishna. Basically saying, take me with you. And then there are many, many other topics, and the whole section is called Uddhava Gita. And the following, just as we've seen from Bhagavad Gita, the same message is here in Uddhava Gita. Krishna says to Uddhava, simply take shelter of me alone, for I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, situated in the heart of all conditioned souls. Take shelter of me wholeheartedly, and by my grace be free from all fear. Mashujaha. Become free from all fear in all circumstances. Same message. Different circumstance, different time, different place. Same message. Krishna's message is very consistent. And when Krishna left, he departed this world. After his departure, what happens? After his departure, the yuga changes from the previous yuga to the present yuga. And the present yuga is Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, Krishna began to consider things get really bad in Kali Yuga. And they gave this nice teaching of Bhagavad Gita, but who's going to understand it? And who's going to follow it? And who, how are people going to take shelter of the message of Bhagavad Gita? And so the conclusion reached by Krishna in his contemplation like this was, I could send somebody, I can designate, give power to somebody to propagate my message, but who can do that better than me? So he came. And he came simultaneously to propagate the Nam Sankirtan. It's very nice traditional Bengali painting of Nam Sankirtan in Navadvip, with devotees falling on the ground and falling at Lord Chaitanya's feet and so forth and so on, ecstatic kirtan. So he propagated the Yoga Dharma, and he demonstrated the process of surrender. And he not only demonstrated the process of surrender, but he taught it by his teachings to a number of devotees. Many devotees. And one of those great devotees, well, actually, we'll just be specific. Two of those great devotees were two of the six Goswamis in Vrindavan. Anybody here doesn't know, needs an introduction to the six Goswamis of Vrindavan? Yes? Okay. So the painting, you know, was Lord Chaitanya, right? Lord Chaitanya. Next to him is Lord Nityananda dressed in blue. Lord Chaitanya is dressed in that purple color, Advaitacharyas with a large beard, and so forth. These are intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya. And he gave detailed, comprehensive instruction to two devotees in particular, Rupas Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Those are two of the six Goswamis. After instructing them thoroughly for like days, and in case of Sanatana Goswami for a couple of months, every day, thoroughly, sent to Vrindavan with two assignments. One, write books. I empower you to understand everything that I've explained, and empower you to write precisely in detail what I've explained, with all reference to scriptures and everything. One assignment, write books. And then another assignment was the places of Krishna's pastimes have been lost. Many of those places of Krishna's pastimes just were obscured, gone to public understanding. And so restore where they are. Good services. They did additional services. They established deities and temples and many other nice things. So Sanatana Goswami was one of those two brothers. And then a third of the six Goswamis was a young boy who was the son of the chief priest in Sri Rangam. You know where Sri Rangam? Yeah. Okay, good. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made a tour of South India. There was a pretext for his tour. He said, I want to go look for my elder brother. His elder brother's name was Vishwarup. Vishwarup had taken sannyas when he was younger. I want to go find Vishwarup if I can find him. That was an external reason. The real reason was he wanted to propagate the chanting of holy name throughout all of India. So he went to holy places. And one of those holy places was Sri Rangam, without all the detail. He spent 4 months of the rainy season in the home of the chief priest of Sri Rangam. And while he was there, the chief priest, Venkatabhatta, had a son whose name was Gopal. Gopal Bhatta. Gopal Bhatta became later Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And little boy, like 6 years old, he loved Lord Chaitanya like anything, like more than loving his mother and father. When it was time for Lord Chaitanya to leave after the rainy season, he wanted to go with him. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, you stay, you serve your parents. And in time, when they give you release from this service, because you're their son, you can go directly to Vrindavan and take shelter of these two brothers, Rupa and Sanatana. the time came when he did that. But he didn't go to Puri, where Lord Chaitanya was, while he was still on the planet. He didn't even make a detour and go to Puri. He went straight to Vrindavan. He just followed instructions and took shelter of Rupa and Sanatan. Meanwhile, from a little boy, he's a Brahmana, he's a Bhakta, a very learned person. He liked reading. And there were no computers or technology or anything like that, so he just kept notes. And he kept notes of his writings, of his readings, in a written form, describing two different texts. One principal text, big text, was describing, because his father was the chief priest of Sri Rangam, he knew all about deity worship. Not only deity worship, procedures that Vaishnavas do to do anything, like how to observe Ekadasi, how to observe Janmashtami, how to have weddings, how to install deities, how to this, how to that, you name it. It's a how-to manual with scriptural references and references and references. He was a very bright student, and he kept very careful notes. And when he went to Vrindavan, he gave that complete document, big set of notes to Sanatana Goswami and made a request, two requests. One, please put this in a publishable form. This corresponds with the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and scriptural reference after scriptural reference and how to do everything. Can you do that? And the second is, don't mention my name, please. That was his mood. He didn't want it to be invisible. Serve the Vaishnavas without recognition for his service to the Vaishnavas. That was one of the ways that he took care of that one. Just don't put my name on the book, in the book. So that's what happened. And the how-to manual, I call it a how-to manual. Then one of the topics is how to surrender to Krishna. Sarvadharma Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam. Mam Ekam Sharanam. How to do it. So in this Hari Bhakti Vilas, the how-to manual is how to do it. And it has 6 divisions, 6 limbs. And we'll see shortly, it's not just his creation, it's from another Purana. But it made its way into Hari Bhakti Vilas. And that's our topic for this evening. And there's 6 parts. The first 2 are in the first 2 lines. Anukoyasya Sankalpa Pratikoyasya Varjana. And we'll go through them. Then Rakshishati Vishvaso, Goptritve Varnam Tata, Atma Nikshepa, Karpanye Shad, that means 6, Shad Vidha, 6 divisions or 6 characteristics, Sharanagati. Sharanagati. So here's a very simple translation of these 6. We're going to go through them a few times, like a little bit backwards and forwards, a little bit. Translation. The 6 divisions of surrender are Anukoyashva Sankalpa, acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, Pratikoyashva Varjanam, rejection of unfavorable things. That's easy. The do's and avoid the do nots. And the purpose of both the do's and the do nots is that will enhance bhakti. We do. And that will detract or impede or make a conflict or obfuscate, diminish the influence of bhakti to avoid those things. On the way over here, this young man was asking a question. And it's okay. It's okay. He asked the question, when kids in school Want to know why you don't eat onions and garlic? What do I say? That's the next question. And here's the ultimate answer that they're not going to understand. It's not favorable for bhakti. So, but why is it not favorable for bhakti? Then there's, multiple explanations. Tamasic foods promote tamas in the body, so we don't take that which is going to be a tamasic food and promote tamas in the body. We want sattvic food to promote sattva. You can't offer tamasic foods to Krishna, so we take only Krishna prasadam. So we don't eat onions and garlic because we can't offer it to Krishna. We don't take it. Period. Pretty simple. But those things that are in the Lord of goodness, offer them to Krishna. They accept the prasad of Krishna. That's what we do. We do the do's and avoid the do nots. And the principle is what's favorable to bhakti. And what's the purpose of bhakti? That's easy. What's the purpose of bhakti is Krishna will smile. That which is pleasing to Krishna. Question, how do you know what's pleasing to Krishna? Guru Sadhu Shastra. Supposing I don't accept Guru or Sadhu or Shastra, then how do I know what's pleasing to Krishna? The answer is you won't know. The ultimate reference is Shastra, and therefore in this Hari Bhakti Vilas, whenever it's a standard that was followed by Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Sadhguru Goswami and all acharyas, you make a statement, and then supporting the statement is the Shastra that illuminates or elucidates the statement. The statement is resting upon Shastra. So Shastra is the Supreme Court, and then you may making your case in the courtroom, but you refer to case law. If you're doing a law case before a judge, you have to know the law, and you follow the law, and then cite the law to establish your case. So the acharyas, when they're making statements, they make statements supported by Shastra. So Guru and Sadhu are dependent upon the Supreme Independent, Krishna and Shastra. Both totally independent. We're all dependent. So that's the first two. And you don't have too many slides, so you're going to have to be attentive. The conviction that Krishna will give protection. Prakrishatiti Vishvaso. That's very consistent in the explanations given. Then Gopritve Varanam Tava. Gopritve Varanam Tava. Get used to the fact that sometimes phrases are given different meanings because it's Sanskrit, and even in the structure of something, the importance of a certain phrase takes greater importance, and another acharya will take another phrase to have greater importance. And it's okay. It's okay. We're going to see shortly this Gopritve Varnanam Tava can mean different things. And one of those different things is Krishna is my master or guardian. I'll give a little bit, we'll touch on it twice going forward. According to Jiva Goswami, so you wanted to know what the 6 Goswamis, and then there's Goswami number 4. We started Rupa and Sanatan. We went to Gopal Bhatta. And now here's another, Jiva. Jiva Goswami was the nephew of Rupa and Sanatan, so generationally younger, There were three brothers, one died. The father of Jiva died when he was still a young man. And so father's gone. Rupa and Sanatan took care of him like their son. Or he looked to them like their father, or his father. And they gave him not just fatherly care, they gave him everything. Everything that Lord Chaitanya gave them, they gave to him. So one of the, back to, I'm looking at you because you wanted to know. So this young fellow Gopal in Sri Lanka, he wrote two manuscripts. One I mentioned already, Hari Bhakti Vilas. Another was commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Now there are many commentaries, and there are different styles of commentary. This particular commentary was a topic by topic commentary by Gopal, a young boy becoming a young man, and he made 6 divisions of commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. And one of those 6 divisions was Bhakti Sandarbha. So he gave this whole manuscript to Gopal Bhatta, gave the whole manuscript to Jiva Goswami, and he asked him 2 things. One, put it in a publishable form. If you find errors, please correct the errors. And 2, don't mention your name. So that's what happened. Became the Sandarbhas, 6 Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami. And he didn't mention his name. He said, one Bhatta from South India. Didn't say Gopal. One learned Brahmana. Bhatta is learned Brahmana. One Bhatta from South India gave him this manuscript. But here it is. So one of the 6 is Bhakti Sandarbha, and reference in Bhakti Sandarbha is that this Gotritve Varanam Tavam is the Angi, or the principle, and the other 5 are secondary to the principle in the matter of surrender. So this is a lesson, good one to learn. Mind you, different acharyas have different perspectives, and that's perfectly okay. But this is Jiva Goswami's perspective. And following his perspective, Baladev Vidyagosan, many generations later, he wrote commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Those of you that read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, you'll notice in the dedication page who he dedicates it to. Baladev Vidyagosan. Because he was a very special type of commentator. Here's within his commentary in 1866, he presents the whole 6 items of surrender, but the reference is not Hari Bhakti Vilas, it's Vayu Purana, which means Vayu Purana is the source of Gopal Bhatta when he wrote Hari Bhakti Vilas, and Sanatana Goswami published it as Hari Bhakti Vilas. So there's the same 6. Anukoyasya Sankalpa Pratikoyasya Varjanam. Same 6. Here's the translation. This is Bhanu Swami's translation. Surrender has 6 factors: accepting what is favorable, rejecting what is unfavorable, having faith that the Lord will protect one, accepting dependence on the Lord. That's how he's translated. Gotritve, accepting dependence on the Lord, placing oneself fully to the Lord, it should be unto the Lord. Atma Nikshepa, and Karpanye, meekness, humility. Those are the 6. And then to explain, he has 2 explanations. Action pleasing to the Lord that are prescribed by the scriptures are called anukulya, or favorable. Actions, opposite actions, displeasing to the Lord, not prescribed by the scriptures, are called pratipulya, or unfavorable. So that's the first two. Towards the last line, atma nikshepa means to place responsibility for one's maintenance in the object of surrender to the Lord. Now, those of you that are paying attention, you'll notice his explanation, Baladev Vidyabhusan's explanation, differs from what we heard earlier. Prakshikshati Vishvaso means one is maintained. Here he's saying Atma Shepa is to place responsibility for one's maintenance in the object of surrender. It's okay that there's a difference of view. I'm saying it 6 times. It's okay. It's 7 times. And here he goes on further in his commentary. Jiva Goswami explains in Bhakti Sandarbha 236 that Goptritve Varnanam, or accepting the Lord as master, is the very definition of surrender. Of the 6, one is the definition, and is therefore the main item. All other 5 items are its assistants or angas of the one, angi. Little different. Atma Nikshepa means to have no independence from the Lord. Same commentator, speaking with different language or giving a different definition of a term. It's okay. Because it all, the puzzle pieces all fit together. You get the same picture. And this puzzle piece may look like this, and that puzzle piece may look like that, but it makes the same picture. One of the reasons why I selected this topic was we had very nice discussions the last 2 evenings, including yesterday evening, so I decided to go forward with this topic, where sometimes it says this, and sometimes it says that. The audience has to be mature enough. If it says this, and then it says that, it's okay. So I'm trusting that your mature audience will handle it. Atma Nikshepa means to have independence of the Lord. Quote, whatever he orders, I do. Karpanya means complete humility. Quote, no one is more merciful than you, and no one is more fallen than I. Some of you may remember when we discussed the topic of humility, that was one of the writings of Rupa Goswami in Padyavali. Do you remember? I'll remind you, for those that may not remember and those that weren't with us. Padyavali is Rupa Goswami's book, one of his books. And it's Padya Avali, it's a collection of little statements. And one of those little statements, Padyavali number 19, says, oh my Lord, you are the most merciful, you're the most complete, you're the shelter of the fallen, and there's no one more fallen than me. No more, one more unqualified than me. Please consider and do what you feel is appropriate. Like protection, please. Shelter, please. But he didn't ask for it, he's just placing himself Atma Nikshepa. Or company, humility. No one is more merciful than you, and no one is more fallen than I. No one is more pathetic, is how we wrote it's translated. On the other hand, Vedanta Deshika, who is Vedanta Deshika? Some of you know. He's in the line of Ramanujacharya. Vedanta Deshika is in the line of Ramanujacharya. Right?
Yes.
Or Madhvacharya.
Ramanujacharya.
Just checking the audience. He has a different take. Atma Nikshepa, placing responsibility for one's maintenance of the Lord as the main item. So we go. It's okay. Some of you know. So if any of you know the answer to this question, raise your hand. Don't just blurt it out. There's a verse that Prabhupada would quote hundreds of times where it's the description of Krishna as the maintainer of all living entities. Krishna is the maintainer of all living entities. There's one who maintains the many. What's that verse? Raise your hand if you know the verse. Okay, go ahead. Nityo Nityanam. Chaitanya Chaitanam. Okay. Did you all hear that? Nityo Nityanam. Nityo is singular. Nityanam is plural. Nityo Nityanam. And again, singular plural. Chaitanya Chaitananam. The singular Eka. Eko Bahunam. Yo Vidadati Kaman. That one is maintaining all the others. So we're eternal, Krishna is eternal. We're conscious, Krishna is conscious. But that one is maintaining all of us. So according to Vedanta Deshika, that's the main item of surrender, because we're dependent upon being maintained, just like a little child is dependent upon the maintainer. No, there's a stage of life where the dependent thinks themselves independent, sometimes artificially, and sometimes appropriately. You know, we have to grow up to become an adult, young adult, and then an adult. And that's, part of life. And then those who are maintainers, they still feel the sense of being a maintainer, but the relationship shifts a little bit as the youngster becomes a little teenager, and the teenager becomes a young man, and the young man becomes an adult, and there's still the parent and the child, or one who has received their birth from mother and father. And this type of relationship, it certainly has to change, does change, it has to change. But in the relationship of all souls for the Supreme Eternal, there's one that's the maintainer. So Vedanta Deshika likes this phrase. Go, and for him, Gopritve Varanam is praying for protection, which is similar to Rakshishantiti Vishvasa, faith of the Lord to protect one. Now, here's acknowledgement in Baladev commentary. There's something of an overlap or some similarity between terms of these six. So the distinction kind of blurs a little bit. I hope you're okay with all that. And Karpanya is feeling hopeless and incapable, and therefore with humility surrendering to the Lord. We discussed this yesterday, and now we're just amplifying it in one big, the puzzle pieces. Notice the first line, there's reference to Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha 236. Here's reference from Bhakti Sandarbha 236. Humility, Karpanyam, is expressed by thinking, there is no one more merciful than the Lord, no one is more lamentable than me. I'm before the Supreme, I'm very tiny and dependent. Question. Is there ever a point in time where we're independent? Answer, no. We're always dependent. We're dependent upon the Lord for our maintenance, but not for everything. Everything. Very simple. In Bhagavad Gita, we discussed this a little bit. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, there's 6 questions at the beginning of chapter 13. 2 of those 6 are knowledge and the object of knowledge. And the first, because this is from the topic of humility, an item of knowledge is humility. I'll say it again. An item of knowledge is humility. Amanitvam, adambitvam, humility and pridelessness. First 2 on the list. And if what is that humility? Here's the definition of what that humility is. I'm small, God is great, therefore I should serve him. Very simple. Supposing I'm not so humble. Well, that may be great, but I'm great too. Or I can be great and I don't have to be dependent upon the supreme great. I can be independent. Or in any number of other divisions of not being humble. But real humility is there's no one more merciful than the Lord, no one more lamentable than me. That's this Jiva Goswami's explanation of this limb of surrender. Then accepting the Lord as one's master, or the Angi, is I surrender to you, Janardana, Lord of Lords, from the Srimad Purana. I deliver the person from suffering who surrenders in this manner. He's the master. The implication of master is what's me. I'm the servant of the master. And the master takes care of the servant, a qualified master. And persons who are suffering, they take shelter of one who is going to maintain them. That's this Gotra thing. So that's 2 of the 6 limbs of surrender. Then he describes in Bhakti Sandarbha the 3 categories of surrender: body, mind, and words. Body, mind, and words, or body, voice, and mind. Quotes Brahma Purana. Those who surrender with actions, mind, and words cannot be touched by Yamaraj and enjoy the results of liberation. Should be those who surrender with actions, mind, and words cannot be touched by Yamaraj. Become immortal or deathless. The body is finished, but the soul is not. But souls are eternal and they keep transmigrating and lessen until this place of surrender is accomplished. And then in Hari Bhakti Vilas, he illustrates the same point, saying, I am yours. Knowing this in the mind and taking shelter of the Lord's places with the body, the surrendered soul experiences joy. So this is a reference in Hari Bhakti Vilas. And then finally, there are degrees of surrender. Those who surrender with all 6 angas quickly achieve full results. Others, according to the amount of surrender, attain proportionate results. So it's not a 1 or 0. That was one of the questions in the car on the way over here too. It's like, if I'm not there yet, just this morning, we were reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8. Chapter 1, Canto 8 is Kunti's prayers. And Kunti's prayers are really high. There's a circumstance we discussed, but her prayers are really high, and we're not really high. So some persons, they look at those really high statements of Kunti and think, I can't, it's too high. I'm here and she's way up there. She's giving teachings, but I can't relate. So now what? So we looked at Queen Kunti, we looked at pure devotees, we looked at that high place. They're setting the standard. It's a really easy one. It's really easy. It's like a GPS. I'm, I have a long drive ahead of me going to someplace. And I get in my car and start driving. But if I don't know the destination, good luck getting there. You can have a great GPS and it'll tell you where you are on the highway. But you have to know the destination. You put the destination in the GPS system, it calculates, it does what it does, and then it'll tell you how to get there. That's bhakti. There's a destination. And Kunti is Marty, this is the destination, it's prema bhakti. And this is what it looks like, sounds like, and feels like. This is it. That's the destination. And I'm not there yet. So what do? You don't let in. You take little steps, you follow the road down. So Guru Sadhu Shastra guide you how to get to the destination, but you have to know the destination. And isn't it true? It's true. There are different conceptions of what the destination is. Right in Bhagavad Gita. The mind carries different conceptions of life, just as the air carries aroma. Certainly the air carries aroma. Certainly minds carry different conceptions of life. So what's it? What's the proper conception? Most likely, there may be some exceptions, but most likely all of us in this room started with a different conception than what we have today. All of us, some this, some that, some the other. There have been some very, very interesting discussions with some very nice devotees that they have family members that carry that conception. And their family members expect, because you're a family member, that you're going to do my conception or our conception. It is not a Vaishnava conception. Now, how do you navigate that? That's the question. Well, first of all, be very clear what the destination is. What's the absolute truth? That's Vedanta. Janma yasya yataha. The absolute truth is that from which everything comes. And to get to that point, you have to have inquisitiveness, brahmacharya. We all, we've been through it, but the aphorisms of Vedanta Sutra map it out. It starts with inquisitiveness. I want to know. But just a little sharing. I had a little smoking when I was a college kid. Lots of detail, but in simple language, 3 things. There's a higher reality than all of this. I know deep in my heart there's a higher reality. 2, I don't know what it is. 3, it's good to know you don't know. And 3, I want to know. That's it. Brahmacharya, I want to know. But preliminary to that, what is reality? That's Adam Shraddha. Preliminary thing. There's a higher reality. What it is, I don't know. But there is. And I want to know. That's the inquisitive part. And you're ready to go. That's the Adam Shraddha. Then just need sadhu, somebody. And then there are lots of people waving their arms saying sadhu and sadhu, this sadhu, that sadhu, and then you get confused. Which is with a real sadhu, please stand up. And then you have to have some inclination for knowing the truth with a capital T and not shades or camouflage truth. or GPS is going to take you into the ditch instead of to your destination. Therefore, Shastra is a foundation. And how to read the Shastra? You need representatives. It's all very scientific and very clear. Just follow the dotted line. In disciplic conception, proper disciplic conception. Fortunately, very, very fortunately, we've contacted proper disciplic succession. We probably contacted something other than proper disciplic succession before this. And just like we just read something from Vedanta Deshika, it's a different disciplic succession, but we honor because it's disciplic succession. And the view may not be my view or our view, but it's disciplic succession view, and the puzzle pieces all come out to the same picture. It's okay, because it's disciplic succession. As a principle that we adhere to and look up to. There's a very nice statement found in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're going to end here. Again, no picture, but it's okay. I'll come back later and add some pictures, I think. This is from Sanatana Shiksha. Sanatana Goswami, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So, Lord Chaitanya instructing Sanatana Goswami in Prayag at length in the science of bhakti. And here is his explanation. Sharana, that's surrender. When the devotee thus fully surrenders unto Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna accepts him as one of his confidential associates. That's what's awaiting us. And then the previous was proportionate to our surrender, we make progress. It was the goal, being Krishna's association. And directly touch him, directly see him, directly speak with him, according to different process, different levels of love, be connected to Krishna. That's that goal. That's the GPS goal. Put that in your GPS system and go for it. Then follow the Sharanagati principles. That'll help you get there. Now, how long will it take to get there? How long it takes to get there, that's how long it takes to get there. And for different persons, it's different. And there are variables that depend upon the degree of one's surrender or submission unto Krishna. Here's a Prabhupada statement, and there's scripture to support it. Swamiji, how long did it take to become Krishna conscious? Prabhupada. Less than a moment. No, Dhruva Maharaj took 6 months. For us, it's taking how many years? But what he did in 6 months was pretty intense. Like even one day of what he did was pretty intense with the sheep of 6 months. That his mind became fixed upon the personality of God who appeared before him. Touched him with his conscience and offered Dhruva, anything you want, you just name it, it's yours. He knew what he wanted. Went to Dhruva, we all have some wants. We're conditioned souls. No surprise. We have wants. There are things that we want. And of those things that we want, it's a lot of them. There are 4 types of pious people that surrender to be Krishna. Chapter Vidhavajante Jana Sukratinorshana. Then he lists 4 categories. I want what I want. There was a little discussion yesterday. People leave. As the experience, some people come and some people go. Why do people come and then go? It's either one of two things. The wants didn't get fulfilled, or the wants get fulfilled. If the wants get fulfilled, thank you very much, Krishna, see you later. Because all I wanted was my wants get fulfilled. Like this one, that one, the other one, the other one. I was curious, I want knowledge, I want relief from distress, I want wealth. When you get those things, see you later. Thank you very much. And then another platform is gratitude. You receive and you feel grateful, you want to do something. And an expression of that gratitude. Or a saying that I use regularly is, gratitude is the seed of love. I'll say it again. Gratitude is the seed of love. So what makes one stay is gratitude. What makes one leave is, thank you. And then off you go. So then comes surrender, proportionate to one's surrender, and you continue surrendering. What helps you continue to surrender is sadhusanga. How bhakti begins is sadhusanga. Intermediate stage, sadhusanga. Advanced stage, sadhusanga. We discussed this yesterday. Even in the most advanced stage of perfection, sadhusanga is imperative, not optional. So stay in good association, continue coming to the center, hear about Krishna, and continue to grow and grow and grow, and be grateful for then the realizations, purification that comes from those activities, hearing and chanting, and worshiping and taking prasadam and kirtan and all the activities of bhakti that purify. Be grateful for that purification in sadhusanga, and make your best effort to give to Krishna in these 6 ways. Atma and Shepa. Surrender everything. The classic example of that is Bali Maharaj. He gave everything. And even after giving everything, Vamana punished him. He tied him up like a criminal. And persons came and said, what's going on? He gave everything. And different opinions. His grandfather, Pramod, came and said, this is very good. And then Vamana said, I just wanted to show the world, I wanted to show all of you, just soon. Even after surrendering everything, he was treated like a criminal, and he said nothing. No, this is not squeak. Hey, what's going on? I gave everything, you tied me up. I didn't get what I wanted. He didn't have any want. And therefore, Bali Maharaj was given a kingdom, and Vamana became his doorkeeper. He became the servant of his devotee that surrendered everything to him. Right? Vamana is the doorkeeper. In the place where Bali Maharaj resides. Phew. Ravana heard about how powerful was Bali. He came. He got the boot from the gatekeeper. The powerful foot of Vamana Dev gave him a boot. Get out of here. I'm the protector of Bali. Krishna accepts him as one of his confidential associates. So that's the conclusion on the topic of and no one got left. You're all still here. You're all very patient listeners. Let's see if there's some discussion. Any of the topic. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So here we discussed, like we saw that there are 3 types of surrender by body, voice. Yeah. So how can you elaborate? Like if a person surrenders by mind, automatically the body and voice also surrenders, right? What is the difference? Like, can you elaborate, Maharaj?
Well, they're symptoms or ways of expression. What you're saying is true. So therefore, manmana.
Yeah.
Because following the mana comes the words
Yeah.
and the body.
They are integrated.
They're integrated. But they're ways of expressing. Like, for example, when you pay obeisances, you say a mantra. It's what the body does, it's what the words do, and mind also. So integrated, yes, but the ways of expressing by many words. One can say some words, my mind is out to lunch.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Maharaj, you said that gratitude is the seed of love. Is that right?
If we do what?
Gratitude, you said, is
Seed of love.
seed or seed.
Seed, SEED.
Could you elaborate that a little more?
Oh, yeah. Let's have secret classes on this topic. One of the things I like to do, I've just grown accustomed to it. Because Rupa Goswami teaches loving exchange, right? There's 6 symptoms of loving exchange. One of the things is you reveal your mind in confidence, you hear in confidence. You offer something to eat, you receive something to eat. So there, I like to Shivani Prashada at the end of class. It's just a loving exchange, that's the purpose and the gesture. Because there's prashadam afterwards, everyone gets the whole plate of prashadam, so it's okay, it's not in place of, it's just a loving exchange. And I've noticed 3 things when it comes to children. The mother, sometimes mothers push their kid's head on the floor and they pay obeisances. I don't like that. But then they lean over and whisper in their child's ear, what do you say? They're supposed to say thank you. Your mother is training the son or the daughter to say please and thank you, because that's polite. But thank you is not gratitude, it's just the word without necessarily the heart. And the third thing is generally, as soon as kids receive something, like reflex, it just goes to the mouth. Whether they say thank you or they don't say thank you. It's okay, because it's loving exchange and their capacity is what their capacity is. But when whether one says thank you or doesn't say thank you. Gratitude is in the heart or mind. And when it's in the heart and you receive something, it's just like the Vedic tradition is you receive something from a teacher, you give dakshin. Dakshin can be something mechanical, but it can be something from the heart. And that's the idea of bhakti is you receive something, you reciprocate with that something that you received. I can say personally, how I became a devotee was this one principle. My life completely changed. I wasn't trying to change my life, but my life completely changed by the association of Srila Prabhupada and his books and the mantra and everything. And then one day, a little light went on. My life has changed. And I can't just say thank you. I have to do something. I'm feeling gratitude. Let me give some part of my life to he who can change my life at a great risk of life and limb. He can find an insignificant person, some remote place, and change my life. I want to give back. So, gratitude is the seed of love. Just expanding on that particular point. There's much more. What else?
The last point is Karpanya. Karpanya is meekness.
It's humility.
So one in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna starts with that Karpanya dosha. Karpanya dosha is how do we reconcile it? That Karpanya dosha is different than the meekness.
Yes. Well, dosha means fault. Karpanya dosha. So, who has Bhagavad Gita? Can you find that verse? Bring me the Bhagavad Gita with that verse, and we'll discuss explicitly from the verse. As you know, you've been around for a while. You live in Johnny here? Yes? Okay. So those who've been around for a while know that the meaning of Sanskrit words often depend upon the context. Depending upon the context, it can mean this, or can mean that, or can mean something else. But there's a dhatu, a root, that doesn't go too far from the root meaning. But context-wise, it can mean different things.
So Prabhupada mentions in one purport that Karpanya is one who cannot utilize his life properly.
Karpanya dosha. Ahata swabhava. I'm confused about my duty and all muscle composure because of miserly weakness. Karpanya is miserliness. Now, here's a little interesting thing about Prabhupada says about his own translation from Sanskrit to English is there's a literal and there's the feeling, the context and the bhava of a situation. And I like the latter. So the meanings of words from our founder Acharya have the feeling of the context, not just necessarily the literal meaning. So miserliness has its other meaning, or karpanya has its humility. But Prabhupada, is taking karpanya dosha to mean miserly. Like I'm thinking about myself, that's the miser. I and mine. Miser thinks about what's mine, but based upon I, we'll go back. Aham is a false ego statement, or it's an ego statement. It doesn't have to be. It could be aham brahmasmi, or it could be aham kara. So false ego or ego is aham, and then what comes from aham is mine. So if I think I'm this body, what's mine? That which comes from the body. My work. And it's my work, so I'm attached to my work. I'm attached to the fruits of my work because it's mine. And with the fruits of my work, I get stuff for me. Like, you name it. My car, my home, my bank balance, my debts, my taxes, and then my family, my children, those in the category of mine. And the miser is one who they don't necessarily wisely use what they have, they just like to look at it. That's the miser. So in this case, Arjuna is using this word karpanya. He's characterizing himself as the miser, due to my miserly karpanya, my miserly weakness. But his humility is not a weakness, but he's characterizing himself that way. That's how Prabhupada has given us this meaning. Karpanya. In one case, miserliness, another case, humility. Thinking not highly of oneself. The I and mine conception gets shrunk. So he's coming for Krishna with humility, indicating I'm this humble person thinking big of myself. Why is a big weakness? That's interesting. That help? Anybody else? Yes?
Question is the six divisions of surrender. So fifth one, like, full self surrender.
Yeah.
So what exactly?
Well, if you ask this lady, she knows. If I think I'm this body, mind, words. If I think I'm the soul, it's the soul. If I think I'm the soul covered by a body, it's all of them. Full dedication of self, Atma, in translation can mean mind, body, or the soul. So it's dedicated, or all of the above. But it's all of the above for devotees. Full self-surrender. Okay? You sure? You look like you're ready to say something else.
Maharaj,
Yeah,
can I have one more question?
yeah, sure.
So can you define association? Like, what is association? Can we only, is the association with the devotees is considered as association, or taking the shelter of shastras, is that also considered an
Of
association?
course. Did you understand the question? You all understood the question. Did you hear the question back there? Oh, good. Okay. Well, when you take shelter of Shastra, from where do we get the Shastra? We get the Shastra from devotees. No, Vyasadeva, from Pyle, we're getting Vyasa's association by the words come from the personality goddess, we're getting the association with the personality godhead through that recorded sound. So it's association with, the original sadhu, Lord Narayan, or the personality godhead, and then in disciplic succession from him. So it's association for sure. Krishna, Krishna.
Holiness, Romapada Maharaj.
Thank you all so much for joining this evening. We are very, very grateful to His Holiness Prabhupada Swami Maharaj for gracing this temple, keep blessing it. Some of you may not know, but he was the first Maharaj and Srinivasi who actually referred us to Kulati Prabhu and recommended us to become part of this one. And today we are so glad that he's here. This temple is definitely a part of this con because of Maharaj. So we're very, very grateful. Please raise arms and report 3 times to Maharaj. Extend our invitation to Maharaj that he should come many, many, many more times here and grace us with his wonderful words and presentations and knowledge. Because we fully
Okay, then I'm gonna go around. Huh?
Break.
Still not enough to go around.
we can
We have done it today, not today.
It's nice, Prashant, but there's not enough to go around.
Thank you.